The 2021 TLX. Is it good or is it bad? Do you cop or do you drop? We'll be talking about that today and many more things on today's episode of Car Talk. Now, if you're one of my loyal subscribers, you're probably wondering where I've been. And for that, I don't really have a good answer for that. I've just been living life, you know. School's been getting in the way of things. I've been devoting a lot of time to trying to get better at skateboarding and stuff. So I really haven't had time to even think about making a YouTube video about anything at all. But I have COVID, so I'm stuck inside all day. Here we are. This is me getting through COVID, making YouTube videos. But as we all know, 2022 is just around the corner. We have about, 3 days. And I think one of my New Year's resolutions is going to be devoting more time to YouTube, make more YouTube videos. Anyways, let's just get right into the video. So my conclusion is going to be based off just my impressions of the car. I haven't actually had a chance to drive the car yet, hopefully one day. Pretty much, if you can't tell, I like Honda Acura. I actually have this NSX poster right over there, if you can't see. I'll also be basing my conclusion off of sales too, because that's a very important factor into whether or not a car is worth it, or at least is worth buying. In terms of looks, this car is absolutely stunning. I mean, just look at the car. I think John Acura and the design team did a wonderful job designing this car. It definitely serves as a very good predecessor to the previous generation. I actually own the previous generation TLX. Not to flex or anything, but in terms of design, the previous generation TLX was already heading in the right direction whenever they released the refreshed version with the A-Spec Model 2. Oh boy, that was such a beautiful car. And then we look at the new generation, and this generation is just beautiful. I love it. So all around, it's a beautiful car, but the issues come into play whenever you get to looking at the numbers. And I'm talking about the price and the power. The weight of this car also comes into play too. Looking at the stats for the TLX Type S here, it starts at $52,000, correct? And you get 355 horsepower for that. Now, for somebody like me who knows a little bit about cars, I know 355 horsepower is enough to play around with on the street. In fact, you might not even get to use all that on a road. You know, too much power, it just, unless you're going to track days, it's kind of pointless because you won't even be able to use it on the road. Gas mileage is decent, but I mean, if you're driving this car, if you're buying this car, I don't think you care about gas mileage at all. But like I said, the main issues here is the weight. This car is 4,200 pounds. That is a lot. That's a lot of pounds, okay? If you look at a car around similar price, like the new Toyota Supra, $54,000, 382 horsepower. So Acura's already taken an L there, you know, power-wise. But the biggest L of all is how much, at least the Supra weighs. Supra weighs 3,400 pounds. The Acura weighs 4,200 pounds. That's almost 1,000 pounds less. Do you know how much faster the Supra is compared to the TLX? Even though they have around similar horsepower range. That power to weight ratio, man, that matters like a lot. I bring up the Supra to make this point here. If you're a common man with money, just looking at numbers straight up on a paper, Supra looks better on paper. Why? Weighs less, costs almost exactly the same, and has more power. Acura, you've got to step your game up. That's all I'm saying. And just to prove my point here, we also have the 2021 M2, 405 horsepower, 58,000, so it's a little bit more, but it has 405 horsepower. So I mean, it's not that far off. If you're just, more money, more power, that's at least, a fair deal there. Curb weight's also 3,600 pounds. You see the issue here? Now, I'm not trying to completely dog on, the TLX. In fact, you know I wouldn't be trying to do that. I like them, but they do have a couple things to fix. Get the weight down, the horsepower up, and try and keep it around the same price, and then we have a recipe for success, Acura. For this year alone, Acura sold about 22,000 units of the new TLX and about, I'm gonna say around 1,000 of the Type S units. So they're not doing too bad with them. I mean, they could be doing better, obviously. But if there's one thing about Honda and Acura that we all know, is that they always give us something a little bit poopy in the beginning, but then they do a refresh in the middle of the generation cycle. And what do they usually do on those refreshes? Give it a little bit more power, cut the weight down a little bit, and then just all around just make the car better. Look at like the Type R limited edition that released near the end of the Civic Type R's life cycle. That one had better suspension, weight reduction, all around to make the car faster. I'm hoping that Acura does something like that for the TLX Type S and then make it be able to go against the competitors at least. Because, man, if you look at this car on paper, it doesn't look too good. I would buy the car just because, I'm an Acura guy. That's just who I am. But anybody else who looks at this car, they probably won't even think about buying it just because they look at the power, they look at the weight and the price, and then look at the competitors that have a better deal. That's all I'm saying. So that brings the final question. Is the 2021 TLX a flop? Should you drop it? I say no. And why do I say that? I think the styling of the car is carrying it alone right now. That's just what I have to say. The styling of the car is carrying it. The price, the power, and the weight, it's dragging it down below the competitors. If they can fix that issue, I don't know, at least give it 400 horsepower in the next refresh. At least give it 400 horsepower, maybe upgrade the turbo so you can get 400, do a little bit of weight reduction, and then the car will be fixed. It will be perfect. It will be everything that we have asked for in a car. That's just how they can make it better. And I know I haven't driven the car yet, but I know the drivability of the car is good. Just because Honda, Acura, they always put out good driving cars, regardless of if they're overpriced or not. My TLX has the K24 in it, but it still drives pretty well. I can whip corners in them. I haven't, I promise. I'm lying. Look at the Integra for the example. Not that Integra, this Integra. That was a good driving car. So my final words, Acura, I've told you everything you need to fix. The community's told you everything you need to fix. Do that and you will make money. You have a recipe for success. Open that recipe book and use the recipe. Simple as that, Acura. Come on. Give us what we want. Peace.